Hey everybody, this is Katie Allen, and I am here to talk to you tonight about social media, how to kind of ramp up your social media, make the most of it, um, some tips for making that happen. So if you don't know me, I am the senior director above Gina, and so I'm super proud of all of you for selling $1,500 last month. I know that is why you get access to this Zoom. This is actually a re-recording of the Zoom. Um, so I'm going to do my best to say everything I said the first time, and who knows, might even be better. I don't know. But I needed to share my screen last time, and that kind of like kicked off, it made the recording stop. So that's why we're re-recording it right now. So, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and pull up my thing. It's running a little slow. That's okay. Okay, so this is Social Media Smarts and the 5 V's. And before I get started, I'm going to explain a little bit about why Gina may have asked me to kind of run this training or run this Zoom call. I'm not completely sure why she asked, but I think it might be because I hired a coach a couple years ago when I really wanted to earn the trip. I had barely earned the trip the year before. Right after I had my daughter, they actually extended the earning period by a month, and that's the only reason why I earned it. And I just didn't like that. I wanted to earn it at the highest level. And I knew that the way to do that was to really recruit. And I had a downline who was in kind of like a team coaching page with this girl. Her name was Kira Casanova, and she was recruiting like crazy. So I asked my downline, what are you doing? And she said, this girl, Kira, has so many amazing social media tips, and I'm using them. And so I actually ended up hiring Kira as my coach for a month and really going all in and implementing a lot of this stuff. And it worked. I was able to recruit a lot of people, and I was able to recruit people who were business minded and really wanted to go for it with their business, which was really awesome. And then the following year, I kind of did it again. And so that's mostly what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. One disclaimer is that I do not always do this. So I definitely am not somebody who always practices what they preach, so to speak. I take times where I won't post on my social media for quite some time because I've gotten busy or whatever. So what I would encourage you in that is that even if it's been a while since you've posted on social media, or maybe you've never really posted on social media, it only takes like a week or two to really kind of start building that up and getting some traction. So I kind of call these like social media times where I go all in, kind of like blitzes. But anyway, enough about that. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the social media smarts and the 5 V's. I like to make everything kind of match with the theme. So some of these V words are a bit of a stretch, but the concept with them I think is good. So we're going to get started. Virtuousness, volume, variety, vulnerability, and visuals. Okay, so let's talk about virtuousness first. I think that that's an actual noun, but what I mean by being virtuous is that I looked it up in the dictionary, and virtue is like being good, being right, being, the right path. And so really what I want you to do on social media is to be appropriate, be professional. And we're going to go into that a little bit. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you that you have to censor yourself completely. I'm not telling you that you have to put a false side of yourself out to the public. I'm just asking you to think about this and be aware that as a small business owner, your social media is a way of marketing your business. And so it's important to see things through that lens. So here are some things to avoid. And I have used some memes throughout this presentation because I love memes. But the first thing to avoid are divisive topics. The political climate is about to get pretty intense as we near the next presidential election. I'm not saying that you can't have a political opinion and that you can't ever post about it, but honestly, I would avoid it just because if you post something political, you're pretty much going to be alienating 50% of the population. And really, posting on Facebook, from my experience, just and observing and stuff, you don't really win anybody over with a Facebook post. If you feel really like gung-ho about something with politics, there are better ways to kind of go about that. It's pretty divisive on Facebook, and normally it gets ugly, and I would avoid it. The other thing that I would avoid would be like overly critical opinions about things where you're just coming on and going on these rants, and it's just not a good look for your business. And so that's something to be mindful of. Being vulgar in any way, like foul language, lots of cursing, questionable content, that kind of stuff. Asking yourself, is this okay for my grandma to read? Kind of seeing it through that lens. Trying to kind of keep things kind of PG. We do sell children's books, so that's kind of something to think about. Not that there are necessarily children looking at your profile, but, being a consultant for children's books, you kind of want to make sure that you're like, this is social media, and this is kind of your social media marketing and your brand as a person, and you want to make sure it kind of goes with that. Relationship issues, don't air your dirty laundry. That's just a good rule in life, even if you don't have a business that you run online. And then poor grammar. Okay, so many of you already know to avoid divisive topics or vulgar things or relationship issues, but you might need a little bit of a tune-up on your grammar. Remember, we sell children's books, and so the type of people who want to buy books often are the type of people who value literacy and things like that. And so they are apt to notice poor grammar. One of my favorite sites is Grammar Girl. I think that's the name of it. I constantly look up grammar. And so don't be afraid to do that. Make sure you're using you, your, you are, all that correctly, and the theirs and all of those things. Don't be afraid to brush up on that, because it can really help with kind of that I care about literacy kind of image that you do want to portray. And chances are, if you are selling children's books, you do care about that. So just want to mention that because I think it's important. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is volume. If you really want to make an impact on social media and kind of do one of these blitzes, so to speak, and really kind of go all in and start to get more of a following and start to get more of like engagement on your posts and people who are paying attention to what you're doing, you need to post often and be consistent. So we're going to go into that a little bit more. This is a good time to take, if you're taking notes, I would write this down. This is straight from what Kira taught me to do. So I write it down. So on Instagram, one to two posts per day. The key here is to just be consistent. Two posts is not too many, so long as you're consistent, and that's what your audience gets used to, but one post is plenty. So 1 to 2, I think, is kind of what you want to go for. Stories, you can do those daily. If you don't know what Instagram stories are, I encourage you to just get on Instagram and just up in the left-hand corner where it's your face, click on it and it'll open the screen to create a story, and you can just play around with it. And if you post something that you don't like, you can just delete it and it'll go away. But just play around with it. They're super, super fun. It's a quick way to connect with your audience. It doesn't have to be as like curated, because stories disappear after 24 hours. So it's a really fun way to just be a little more casual with your audience and just fun with them. And they can be really interactive. Don't post way too many in a row, because then people will be like, trying to click through it, and they'll get kind of annoyed with it. So I just think stories, just like a few a day is good. And then for Facebook, so really I feel like the bulk of the traction that I made with this whole method was on Facebook. And Kira had me posting 3 to 4 times a day, which is a lot, but it's not going to seem like a lot to your audience because not all of those posts are going to show up in their feed. And that's important to remember. They're not seeing all 3 or 4 of those. So that's why you want to do that many. That's going to really help you kind of beat the Facebook algorithm and really get in front of the people you want to get in front of. Spread them out throughout the day. So maybe one mid-morning, one afternoon, one evening. I felt like the evening, and still feel like the evening gets me the best results. That's when people like aren't at work, they might have their kids to bed, they're like kind of maybe relaxing and scrolling a little bit. And so my evening posts do the best. So I always try to save my best posts for the evening. And to help you, just remember, like whatever you post on Instagram, you can push that through to Facebook. So, you know, if you're going to do an Instagram post or 2, then that can count for 1 or 2 of your Facebook posts. Same with your stories. You can push that through as well. And I recommend that you do that because you'll catch different audiences. I push my stories through all the time. I'll have totally different people commenting and replying on the different platforms. Okay, so now we're going to talk about variety. So mixing it up and what those posts should consist of. You're definitely going to want to take notes here too. Okay, so these are the types of posts that you want to do. So if you're posting 3 to 4 times on Facebook, 1 or 2 of those should be things about your personal life. That's kind of probably the stuff you're already posting. Stuff about your kids, stuff about your holiday experiences, you know, how's your Christmas shopping going? All of that stuff, just your personal life, events in your life, fun things you've noticed, whatever. Those are your personal life posts, the details of your life. You're going to post that 1 or 2 times a day. And then once a day, you're going to post like an inspirational or connection type post. This type of post, the goal of it is to connect with people at the heart level, to kind of endear them to you, to make them identify with you, to make them feel connected to you. Kira was a Beachbody coach. So for her, this was like a lot of motivational posts and stuff because she was dealing with like fitness and weight loss. And so I struggled at first to figure out how that applied to what I was doing, but I kind of figured out that, you know, anything that was just like life betterment oriented was good because that's what people do when they join Usborne and they build their business. They better their lives. Anything that talks about like goals or aspirations or just encouraging words. I loved to like talk about a quote that inspired me or just a lesson that I've learned. I've seen some shout outs this holiday season that are like, you know, you don't have to do it all. Just pick 1 or 2 traditions, you know, don't get overwhelmed. Like that kind of post, those kind of heart level posts. That's kind of your connection post. And then once a day, you're going to post something business related. And it's really important that you realize that this doesn't have to be like, buy this book, you know, host a party with me. It can be a little bit more subtle sometimes. So you could just be incorporating the product. So maybe it's just like your kids at breakfast, but they're, you know, one of them's reading a book or, you know, highlighting an aspect of your business. Like, you know, I got coffee with my friend, you know, Jessica from Usborne or whatever. It doesn't have to always be about like buying or joining or hosting. So I have an example up here. This was a post that I did where like, I just was kind of talking about how I actually love Mondays and why they inspire me. And I have my books in the background. You can see that like I'm working on my book business. So this post kind of counted as all of them because it was a little bit about my life and a little bit of like an inspiration connection and also a little bit kind of subtly about my business. So that's just kind of how you're going to do that. But twice a week, once or twice a week, you are going to be a little bit more overt in how you post about your business. So I recommend like once a week when you're doing this, doing some type of opportunity post. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second, but that's going to be where you're offering the opportunity to host or the opportunity to come to a mystery hostess party or the opportunity to join your business. And you're going to notice that you're not going to get as many likes or comments on these posts, But just know that if you've been like really building that engagement, people are seeing it and they are watching it and they will respond, maybe not at the same rate as a post about of your cute kids, but you will get a response. When I did my biggest, most successful opportunity post, I got very few likes and comments on it, but I had people reach out to me through Facebook Messenger asking for more information. So people are watching. So remember that. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit about some just different posts that I did. The one over here on the left where I'm holding the books, this was an example of a business post, but like super subtle. Sarah sent me some happy mail, like a little journal, and I was just like, yay, thank you, Sarah, for being an awesome upline. I love this present. So definitely wasn't asking anybody to buy anything. It was just like subtly highlighting something about the business that I think is great, which is that relationship with your upline or your downline. And then, so the one in the middle was a post where I cleaned my office, and I just kind of talked about, like I told them, like, stay tuned, I'm going to show you the final result, and showed something funny that I found. And so this was like a really good post that was more of like that connection post, because I, ask people for suggestions for like a chair that I could sit in because they needed a comfortable one. So that was just like a very like a connecting type post. And then this post over here on the right is my most successful opportunity post. And I kind of posed with the What If Monster. I told about the story. And then, I said, like, what if you started a book business and what could that look like for you? And it was like a really thought out kind of longer post where I talked about how it changed my life and, kind of invited people to reach out to me. And so that's the type of post that I would recommend you do like once a week. And then let the other ones be more subtle. Once a week for like joining opportunity. And if you want to throw in a second opportunity post, it could be like the opportunity to host or the opportunity to like come to like a mystery hostess party or something like that. Okay. So, I want to mention that. So the goal of this social media type of kind of like blitzing or going all in and really getting people to follow you isn't just to sell books. You sell books and parties. The goal of this type of thing is to get hostesses and to get recruits. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so the next V is vulnerability. So this is all about showing your audience you. Talk a little bit more about that. So I love Lizzo. I think she's amazing. So that's why I have her on this meme. But she's all about like self-love and putting herself out there. So that's why I used this. But I really want you to get comfortable with showing your face and using the 3 scroll rule. So if you are on your Facebook profile, if you scroll 3 times, your face should show clearly at least once in those 3 scrolls. Because I know I've gone to like look at a hostess to like learn more about her, and I look at her profile and I have to scroll forever till I even see a picture of her. You want people who are kind of starting to become a little more interested in you and what you're doing with your business to clearly know who you are. And that's why it's important to show your face. It really matters. And so on Instagram, you want to make sure like in the 9 squares, like for every 9 squares, your face is in there at least one time. If you're uncomfortable taking selfies, that's okay. Take ussies, get your kids in there, like, and take a picture, or your husband or your significant other or a friend. Like, then it doesn't have to be like, ooh, look at me taking this selfie. Although I think selfies can be great too. So there's ways to do it, but you definitely want them to clearly know who you are. And then other ways to like really be vulnerable are to share your thoughts and feelings about things. So that kind of goes back to those like connection type posts. Like, be willing to be a little bit vulnerable and show who you are. There's a difference between like airing your dirty laundry and being inappropriate and being a little bit vulnerable. So, because that makes people connect to you. That makes people relate to you. So if you post something about how, it's been a stressful holiday season, but today you took some time to kind of take a step back and you realize this and this and this, like that type of post, people will connect to you, and that helps build trust. Do a profile overhaul. So go in, like, look at your Facebook profile and see what people see when they go to it. Your Facebook profile, like picture, it should be you. It should be your face, not something obscure, not your kids in the picture and you can't even see you. Like, yes, you could have somebody in the picture with you, but like it should be very clear who you are, so that when you're hosting parties, it's clear who you are. When people that are guests in the party that click on your profile to see more about you, it's clear who you are. That is so, so important. And then on the left-hand side, like if you're on desktop for Facebook, there's, I think, like your top 5 photos. You can drag different photos up there. Make those photos be photos that show you and show good things about your life that you want to show to the world. And then your cover image on Facebook, I love using like PicMonkey or Canva to create a collage. You're welcome to go to my Facebook, Katie Allen, KatyAllen, and see mine. It's like a collage of pictures of me and my family, and I think it looks pretty cool and like kind of puts a good face forward and shows people more about my life. So that's a really cool way to kind of fit more into that one spot. I highly recommend doing that. On Instagram, you can create little highlights from your stories. So I actually have a highlight for each of my kids on my Instagram so people can kind of see that. And then in my bio, I talk about who I am, and I make sure that my face or my Instagram profile is a picture of me. So just basically going through and seeing your profiles from an outsider's perspective and just making sure that you have kind of done some self-branding for that. And that you're kind of putting your best face forward. Okay, and then this last one is to reply and engage. People that follow you are going to follow you more and interact more if you engage with them. So when they comment, if you comment back and like their comments and love their comments and all of that, that is going to go a long way. So make sure you're taking time to engage with them. It's very important. Okay, now let's talk about visuals. And I put on here, practice makes powerful, not practice makes perfect. Don't be frozen and, by feeling like it has to be perfect. Like you have to have this perfect Instagram feed or your photos have to be perfect. Just keep working at it and you're going to get better and better at it, and it's going to become more natural to you, but just start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. But here are some tips for that. So the first tip, this one I got from Kira. And at first I didn't do this. I kind of kept putting it off. And it was so stressful trying to get all my posts up every day. And when I finally did this, it made such a difference. What you want to do is pick a day. Maybe you went to church or you went out to book. I went to book club tonight, so I have a little bit of makeup on and I straightened my hair. So this would be like potentially a good night to do it, or a good day. You could grab like 4 or 5 shirts and like some different books. If your kids are around, grab them and just take a bunch of random pictures. Don't stress about them being perfect. Throw one shirt on, take a picture with a book, take a selfie, grab a cup of coffee, throw a different shirt on. Just have a little mini photo shoot. So that you have a whole bunch of pictures on your camera or on your phone that you can use when you're wanting to post. This next one is really helpful. My little meme is like Instagram husband, and you've probably heard of the Instagram husband and like his wife or the Instagram boyfriend or his girlfriend is an influencer on Instagram, and he's behind the scenes like being a photographer. You don't have to have your husband do that, but you can tell your family, hey, if you see me reading with the kids, please take a picture, because I am trying to post more of these things on social media. So please help me by taking pictures of this, this, and this. And they will, and it'll help you a lot. And then finally, if you have a family photo shoot, for Christmas or a holiday or anything like that coming up, don't forget to bring your books and get some shots that kind of incorporate books, because those are so great to use as like your welcome post in a party or in your cover images and all of that. or if it's just you with the book, don't be afraid in your family photo shoot to ask your photographer to just take a couple pictures of even just you. And you can use those as a profile picture. So, okay. One other thing that I forgot to say that I did say last time is that I do hire somebody to run. So I also have another business, Artful Agenda, and I do hire somebody to run that Instagram account. So, and also that Facebook. So I'm always posting on there, and it's not always me, although I do work very closely with them to make sure that it's my voice. But I'm aware that this can be a lot of work. And so that's why I totally understand, like, not everybody's going to be able to just post 4 times a day and do this and do this. Because sometimes I can't even do that with my own personal accounts, although sometimes I do. So I just really encourage you to do what you can. Don't be paralyzed by feeling like, oh, I could never do that. Do what you can. Just do whatever you can do is going to be more than what you're doing now, if you think about it that way. Every little bit will help building you to where you want to go. So I love this quote. This is what I'm going to end with. And it's focus on how to be social, not how to do social. Because really, it is about interacting. It's about showing your true self. It's about letting people get to know you more and getting to know people more, and not about curating a perfect image and being obsessed with doing it perfectly and letting it stress you out. Get out there, be social, be professional, but just be social and have fun with it and see where it takes you. So I hope that this has helped you. I'm trying to figure out how to stop the share that I was doing. Hopefully that worked. I hope that this has helped you. Definitely try to take some of these tips and incorporate them in the new year. I think that you will find that if you do them, if you do one of these social media blitzes, so to speak, and you kind of follow that formula, I think you're going to be amazed at what you can accomplish. I think that you are going to be excited by how you can grow your team and grow your business by doing it. So yeah, if you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out. You can reach out to Gina and she can ask me, or you can reach out to me directly on Facebook. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have an awesome night. Bye.